Now straight to our top story, Uber CEO Travis Kalanick, the co-founder of one of the most influential tech companies, has resigned today under mounting pressure from investors over his leadership. Now Kalanick's departure caps a tumultuous period for the world's largest ride services company, which revolutionized the taxi industry and transportation regulations globally. With Kalanick at the helm, Kalanick has faced increased scrutiny in recent weeks following an investigation into the culture and workplace practices at a company he helped started in 2009. Now, Kalanick's departure comes after a lengthy investigation led by former U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder. Now, Uber hired Holder to look into its culture and workplace practices after a female former employee publicly accused the company of what she described as brazen sexual harassment. Uber has been valued at $68 billion, shattering the norms for Silicon Valley startups, and the company embodied many of Kalanick's aggressive personality traits as well. And to talk more on this story, I'm joined by Sahil Gupta, Editor-in-Chief of Gizmodo India. Well, Sahil, you have been tracking this sector very closely. What's the future of Uber? Now, do you think that after Kalanick's exit, which has come after he had taken leave of absence a few days after that, will it, impact Uber's future in some way?
Well, Uber is essentially Travis Kalanick, so it's going to be a big blow to them because their mantra is to hustle, and the way they have just grown at such an incredible pace has been because of his hustling style, which has been very brazen also, and which has sort of resulted in this really dark period for the company. But now there are a couple of freelancers out there, if you could say, who are there waiting in the wings, who could potentially become CEO of Uber.
And also going forward, where do you see the whole, thing going on? Do you think that he will come back at some point in future also, or will he remain away from forever? Well,
he is still on the board, and you never say never. Back in the 80s, Steve Jobs was kicked out of Apple, and then he came and turned it around. Jack Dorsey left Twitter, and now he's again CEO of Twitter. So you really never say never.
And just describe to us in brief what happened actually, what all we can say that situations or incidents that have led to his departure.
Well, everything started in January. Well, Uber was always known for this very brazen, divisive culture, but ex-Uber engineer called Susan Fowler wrote this blog post which is really scathing, and it basically divulged all the details about the workplace harassment going on at Uber, and that sort of triggered an investigation where Uber hired Eric Holder and his firm to sort of do a complete audit of the company. And once that blog post was out, there were multiple more stories that just kept coming out. And on the other side, there was another controversy brewing because Uber is embroiled in a lawsuit with Google's self-driving car unit called Waymo, where Uber had hired an ex-Google engineer who had founded a startup called Otto, who was influential in Google's self-driving car technology.
And Sahil, how does it impact India operations of Uber? Will it impact at all or not?
Well, I don't expect that to happen. I think it should be business as usual in the interim. The India team is doing a great job out here, and they are very focused on building the business. A lot of the crisis is at the top level in Silicon Valley itself.
And so what kind of, we can say that, what kind of message it passes on to the same entrepreneur CEOs who have founded their billion-dollar unicorns? So what message does it really leave for the other, founder members, like CEOs?
Well, generally, of late, since Google was incepted, the billion-dollar founder CEOs have really maintained a lot of power. And like even the board has never been able to push them out, and investors have never had a lot of influence over them. But in this case, the series of events, they were so brazen, they were so controversial, and Uber is the world's highest value startup. So there are a bunch of investors, normally they never get together. This time all the investors, not all of them, but some of them got together, which eventually led to a situation where not only Kalanick, but his entire top management was sequentially fired.
Well, if we compare that to India, in India also a number of startups, there have been acquisition on a number of startups. Scoop Whoop is a story, and other also, there have been acquisitions of CEOs and top guys getting into all these, murky deals and murky things. So do you think it leaves a message across the world that if he can step down and resign, others can also do the same?
Well, it's always a good message, and like you should always follow these good messages. But the culture in India is quite different. Startups aren't also as powerful as Uber. Uber is the world's highest valued startup, so the situation is very different out here.
All right, Sahil, thank you very much for getting us all these details and giving us an important perspective on the biggest business story of the day.
Thanks.